get started in just a minute. We do have Miss Katharyn Davis here today joining us, and she's got some really good things to tell us, and she's got a very special gift for us, so which we'll announce here shortly. So, Kathie, good to see you.
Hi, everybody. Good to see all of you.
And
so my little legal point that I wanted to talk to you about today is default judgments and having default judgments set aside. And I'm generally on the side of the person who took the default judgment and doesn't want to get it set aside. But this, was one of those things that works both ways. So if someone takes a default judgment against you, you might want to know about this. First of all, the courts don't like to have default judgments if the person wants to get the case adjudicated. The preference is to have the case adjudicated on the merits. However, you don't have to let them, monkey around forever. There are basically two kinds of cases that we have in civil court in Missouri: associate and circuit. Circuit court civil cases, when you get served with them, you have 30 days from the date of service to respond. Associate circuit court cases, which are most of our rent and possessions, unlawful detainers, collection cases under 25,000, etc., they write on dockets. So you get served with the paperwork for that, and you have to respond by the first court date. As you can imagine, lots of people who are late with their rent are also late for court, sometimes by days or even weeks. Quite often when the unrepresented pro se party comes in and does a pity party for the judge sets our default aside and allows them a chance to have a trial or to get more time. The law has been for quite some time that they have to show two things: excusable neglect and a meritorious defense. Excusable neglect is the dog ate my homework and I couldn't get to court, or, I couldn't find a parking space, or it was raining that day, or, I don't know, I've heard everything. And the meritorious defense is usually some BS about why the rent wasn't paid, which generally has nothing to do with the rent not being paid, but often it's the place, the landlord doesn't do repairs, or they lost my payment, or that kind of thing. I had a lady in court yesterday. This was not a default situation, but she told me that the landlord was laundering money, and that's why she didn't pay her rent. And I'm quite sure that the landlord is not laundering money. I can tell you that, because if you're laundering money, you have to be in a business that generates a lot more cash than rentals. Anyway, so they have to say excusable neglect and a meritorious defense, and they're supposed to either do this in the form of an affidavit or by testimony. And what ends up happening in most of our cases is it's someone who doesn't have a lawyer, and they roll into the courthouse days or weeks after the court date and find out that they've been defaulted, and so they make up something on a memo and submit it to the judge, and the judge, sets it for a hearing. This does not stop an eviction going forward. If we have already gone through the 10 days for the judgment to become final, we can file for the sheriff and go forward. Then sometimes they'll get the notice from the sheriff and they'll come in and ask for an emergency hearing. This drives Christine crazy. I feel like she's always running over to the courthouse for these stupid emergency hearings on these defaults. And as we're saying, for the most part, these people don't have a meritorious defense. They haven't paid the rent. That's not a meritorious defense. That's why they were defaulted. And their excusable neglect about why they didn't show up for court is usually not very sound either. Well, this week, there have been two cases set down by our appellate courts. One is from the Eastern District, which is our district of the Court of Appeals. And I will tell you this, for these kinds of cases to go to the Court of Appeals, it's generally going to be two business entities battling it out. We're probably not going to set aside a default that we don't like up to the Court of Appeals, because we can still get the case heard and get the person out by the time the Court of Appeals even gets the file. So, and plus that's an expensive undertaking. But some, this in the first one, it was T Westfall Plaza versus SJB Restaurant Group and Cortez Burnett. And the lower court judge, one of our judges in St. Louis County, granted a motion to set aside a default, and the plaintiff landlord appealed it, and the appellate court held that they didn't make their case adequately enough to show that they had excusable neglect and a meritorious defense. So this is a win for the good guys. And we're going to be citing this case, about the sufficiency of what people have to say to get the default set aside. And there was a second case out of the Missouri Supreme Court, Steele something versus Johnson Controls, that came from actually the Western District, from the Kansas City side of the case before it went to the Missouri Supremes. And that basically said the same thing. The bare allegation that they weren't properly served or that they couldn't get to court on time or whatever is not going to be enough anymore. They're going to have to present substantial evidence as to why the default should be set aside. So I don't know if any of you have ever had the annoying situation of having the lawyer call and say, the judge set the default aside, we now have to go back to court on this, when you were maybe 2 days away from getting possession. But hopefully that will happen less frequently now. And yesterday I saw a couple of our judges in St. Louis County, and I mentioned these cases to them. I said, oh, we got these 2 good decisions on defaults. So we're going to be mentioning these to judges and talking about them and arguing them if we get more motions to set aside default. And also, as you know, I go to a lot of places and speak and what have you, and I'm speaking at Bench and Bar this year, which is basically a bunch of judges getting drunk down at the lake. And I'm speaking with a judge, Judge Nikki Clapp, who is wonderful, a fairly new judge, and we are going to be speaking on Associate Circuit Court. And there's a lot of lawyers and judges who attend this conference, and so we're going to talk to them about it. And then I'm doing that, I'm doing the apartment association, I do a thing for them every other month. And I'm probably not going to get to talk about it this time, or maybe a little bit, because this time in June, my Zoom for them is going to be about the city and what's going on in the city. But in a future one, I'll talk about it. And then I'm doing that one that I think I sent the information to John, and you may have seen a link on your website. It's going to be over in Gladstone, Missouri, but it's an all-day seminar, and I'm doing an hour on evictions. And they like to talk about tax sales and that kind of thing. If you're an investor and you're interested in all these different topics, that would be a good all-day seminar to go to. It's sadly not over here, but it's over there. I'm going to talk to the guy who runs it and see if maybe he would offer one on this side of the state at some point. Because I know I could count on you guys. You'd probably be interested in coming. But if you can go to Gladstone, take a weekend, hang out in Kansas City, have fun.
You actually can't go in person because I tried to. You can only do it online now because they're full.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I tried. As soon as you sent it, we signed up immediately because I was going to go.
Oh my gosh. Nobody tells the speaker anything, right? Well, if you can do it remote.
You can do it online though. Yes.
Yeah, I would do it. I think there's good speakers. Dale Sweet. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I have there. And a brief city update for you guys. We still don't have news about the right to counsel. The last thing we heard was that the only attorney group in the city that was willing to take on the representation of tenants being evicted was Legal Services. Our city doesn't want to do it. New Covenant doesn't want to do it. Nobody else wants to do it. EHOC is gone because, I don't know, there's some bad things that went on with their money, and maybe there's going to be indictments. We don't know. But Legal Services says they're willing to do it. The city has not gotten their act together, the last I heard, which was a couple of weeks ago, and the program hasn't been set up yet. It's supposed to start July 1st. And one of the immediate obligations under the program that you guys should know about is that if you're getting ready to evict someone for whatever reason, non-payment, for cause, whatever, you're going to have to send them a piece of paper with information about how they can try to get a free lawyer under this program. We don't have that yet. As soon as we have it, I will send it to John for him to post on your website. Right? And of course, we'll make it available to anybody that wants it, when we get it, call the office or whatever. If we're handling the eviction for somebody, we will make that notice go out along with the eviction papers and everything. We just don't have it yet. So there we are. Okay, so that's all the updates I have for you guys this time. And then we have a little giveaway. I have 4 Redbird Club tickets for tomorrow. Cardinals versus White Sox, who they actually might be able to beat the White Sox because the White Sox are pretty bad. And it's a 1:15 game. And like I said, it's my nice Redbird Club seats. I am doing Rosé Day in the Central West End with my daughter Bonnie, so we're going to be walking around with a bunch of women getting drunk and going from bar to bar drinking rosé. So we can't go to the game. So we decided that we were going to ask people who are interested to type in a number between 1 and 100 in the chat, and whoever is the closest, I will get you the tickets. They are you have to have the MLB app, and then I just zap them over to you and you get them. So if you're interested, tap a number into the chat.
Very nice, Kathy. Yeah, make sure you could go to the game tomorrow, but this is very generous and we appreciate that. But yeah, put your number in there if you can go. And these are great seats too, I might add. This is the Redbird Club, I believe you said.
Yes,
And I
yes.
know personally these are great. So yeah.
It's nice because there's an inside part. This is not the green seats with the free food, but it's up our seats are like behind the visitors dugout up on the second level, and there's an inside part, so you can, if it's humid or rainy or bad or whatever, you can go inside. There's a bar right there inside the doors, and they have different food stations than they might have in the rest of the ballpark. Although I hear there's some interesting new food stations all over the ballpark this year. But has everybody had a chance to tap in?
Get your numbers in there if you were interested in these, and we'll go ahead and yeah, I see a couple of Kathie picked the number before, so this is not actually favored to
It's not
anybody
fixed
in
in any way.
particular. Just to the lucky drawer. So everybody got their numbers in there? Yeah. Okay, well, it looks like everybody's done. 1, 3, 2, 1. Everybody. Looks like we have Fabian's probably the closest, wouldn't you
I
say,
think
Kathy?
he is. Yeah,
Yeah. And he put the number sign in front of there just to
he
ensure
did.
is winning.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
Fabian, do you have the MLB app?
I don't at the moment, but give me 5 minutes. I will download it if I'm the winner.
Okay,
Excellent.
and I think that it'll ask you for your email, and then I'll email them through the MLB app. So give me your email, and I'll wait about 10 minutes and send them to you.
All right, I just sent you my email. It's Fabian, except it's spelled with a PH. So PHABIAN
Okay.
at gmail.com.
And my number is 314-962-1115. If you don't have them downloaded into your MLB app in about 10 or 15 minutes, call me and we'll figure it out.
But can you give me that number again? You said that really fast.
Sorry. 314
Okay.
962 1115. Oh, and oops, seeing Laura's face, I just remembered one more thing. You know, Laura and John and I have all been part of this Housing Solutions Coalition started by the realtors and looping in several other groups. And we had a report this week, and we really have made a difference with respect to some of the crazy stuff the city of St. Louis has been trying to do. And we have actually gotten to the point where the aldermen are calling Maureen and Charlie for our advice and help on issues that they're running into with housing. So good job, everybody that's participated in that, and hopefully we'll have more interesting updates for you on it.
Yeah,
Hi,
thank you,
Kathy.
Kathy. In fact, I got the slides from Maureen just the other day, and I was going to share them because I was
perfect.
waiting to hear back from her because I wanted to see what particular. There was 3 things that the alderman wanted, and I wanted to see in particular maybe we could get some details that we could share because there's probably some things that people could deal with directly. So, yeah,
That's great. Yeah.
It's made a big difference. Thank you.
Anne is asking me, she changed property managers. Do you have the right to receive the information, applications and everything? Absolutely. If you have a problem with that, call me and I'll send them a letter if they're not turning over your stuff to you. Okay. Anybody else?
Hey Kathy, I had a question. Have
Yeah.
you heard anything about the couple that sued the city? They had right outside of their house the
Yes.
couple that was living. Did you have any updates? I mean, just curious.
Yes, it was in the news that the city finally went and removed them. And there was pictures in the paper of some city worker hosing down the disgusting place where they had been camping. So I'm a little worried because per the articles that have been in the paper, it seems like they move around and go to other places. So I'm wondering if they'll turn up somewhere else, but I haven't
They
heard that
have
yet.
actually. So I'm in my next door app is pretty close to them. So yeah, the information I received, yes, the city was helping them, and then I think they gave them some housing, but yeah, they have showed up somewhere else and have abandoned the housing that the city provided. But I was more so curious about the couple that lived behind them originally that was suing the city to basically move
Yeah,
them off of the property.
well, they managed to get the city finally get rid of those people. The city has filed a motion to dismiss on what I would call technical jurisdictional grounds. And so that's going to have to be heard by the court. I'm sort of following that case, so I should know if that happens. It's possible that those people that sued will not care anymore if the people are gone and will let the case be dismissed. They may not want to continue to pay money to continue the lawsuit. So we should know something. I don't know, at some point. They haven't noticed the motion yet, the city. They've just filed it.
Hmm. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Anybody got anything else? I went to an interesting ward meeting in my ward last night, which is Ward 9. We have Alderman Michael Browning, where he brought in different speakers to talk about, what the city is trying to do to address homelessness. And I think the big problem is the mentally ill. It's just, we don't have facilities for them. Our neighborhood security specialist, Jim White, was there, and he said he doesn't even know what you have to do to prove that someone's mentally ill enough to get them into Arsenal. These people are, there's shelter beds available. They won't take shelter beds. They won't take temporary housing. Like it sounds like Amber was saying, just with these two people, I call them the Sudanese people, although I'm not 100% sure they're Sudanese. They get offered accommodation and they won't do it. They won't go in. So it's just really a tough problem. And I think the people who aren't mentally ill, who are just down on their luck, can be helped and are being helped. And there's shelters and there's transitional housing, and there's a lot of services that Alderman Browning had speakers from all different city agencies last night telling us about them. But if the people won't accept services and they are not mentally healthy enough to care for themselves, it's just a bad problem. But I can tell you this, if somebody pitched a tent in Clayton, they'd be gone in 20 minutes. They would not be there on the corner with their trash for 3 years. That would not happen.
Kathy, Jim Heiser, I got a
Hi,
question for you. How you doing?
good.
We got a long-term tenant that we told in January we're not going to renew her lease, and she's supposed to be out by the end of May.
Uh-huh.
But we are having a gut feeling that's not going to happen. She won't hardly talk to us. She's ignoring our pleas to get together and just communicate about the transition. And so I'm hoping we don't have to go to the eviction process, but would we have somebody like you send a letter before just to kind of light the fire under her, or what would you recommend? Because we've tried to have her sit down and talk with us. We texted her in January about we're not renewing the lease, but just based on what we know and seen and not heard from, and she ignores a lot of our stuff, what would you recommend prior to the
I got a couple of things for you. First of all, just check your lease out and make sure there's not any other thing that you have to do pursuant to the lease. Secondly, on June 1st, if she tries to pay June rent, do not take it, because that would create a new month-to-month tenancy. Thirdly, we would be happy to send a letter for you. If it's the county, you can ask Christine, or if it's the city or another county, you can ask Chris, or you can send it to me. and we can send a letter reminding her, you know, and telling her what your move out procedures are. And if she does not move by June 1st, you can file an unlawful detainer June 1st, and she's responsible for double.
What do we do? She brings the check over and a lot of times slips it underneath our door when we're sleeping, so. what do
Return
we do then?
return it to her. That's okay. Even if it gets sent, even if you have payments through a lockbox and it gets sent there, the courts have said that if they tender it to you and you don't want it, you send it back, you're okay. That doesn't count as accepting the rent.
What type of certified mail, or how do you do that?
I wouldn't worry about certified mail. I just send it back to her, but you can send it certified if you want. I mean, I think the post office is, you know, kind of worse than useless at this point.
Yeah, they are. That's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could hand deliver it back to her or whatever, but just don't cash it.
Yeah, it's in the county, so I guess,
Yeah, give Christine a holler. She can
Oh,
send a
she
letter for you
Venmos
if you
us.
want, or she can, you know, file the unlawful detainer if the person is not moved out by June 1st. We can file the unlawful detainer then.
she
And I will tell you-
Venmos us, by the way.
Sorry?
Yeah, my wife just clarified, she Venmos us, so what do we do with that?
We just don't transfer it to our bank.
Yeah, Venmo it back to her.
You know,
Return it.
I Venmo my housekeeper. Other than that, I don't really know how it works. Can you send it back?
I don't know, I have to ask my wife, I'm not smart like that, what?
Yeah.
I'm not either. So when your
Yeah.
wife finds out, tell me too, but I think you should send it back, whatever the
Okay,
most expeditious way to send it back that you can. And I don't know on Venmo if you can block.
ooh, I don't know, that's a good question.
It'd be interesting to look into that ahead of time and see if you can just block her now, you know, from paying anything.
Okay, I'll check that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I have a quick question, if there's time, and if not, it's.
Oh,
fine.
sure.
Well, this will just show that I think I made a major mistake, but I'm gonna be vulnerable and ask the question. So I bought a property in December, and it was part of it was tenant occupied. And because of the exit strategy we were gonna use with this building, I didn't want to get a new lease in place. I just wanted to take over the terms of the existing lease. Okay, so fast forward to a couple weeks ago, we got a buyer for the property and we notified the tenants because we need to do an inspection, blah, blah, blah. They got spooked and they're moving. Like they gave us like 6 days notice on moving out. So I go and I start reading through the lease to kind of, you know, see what can I do here about maybe keeping a deposit or whatever, because they were in a 1-year lease and had no holdover, like no month-to-month paragraph or anything in it. But in any case, as I'm reading it, I get to this sentence that says, and it's between them and the last owner, that says, if I sell this building, this lease is null and void. And I've never seen that before. I've always known leases to just sort of transfer, and you can do a new one if you want, or you just honor the terms. So anyway, I didn't do a new one, and now I'm not sure, like, they have paid us rent, you know, in accordance to what the lease says, so I didn't know. Again, it's my mistake, but I didn't know like what.
Yeah,
if
I've never
I
seen
should
a
agree.
clause like that either, but that might be, that might not work to your advantage that that's there.
Okay, yeah, so basically, for example, if I wanted to keep their deposit,
But you
I may
still,
not have a leg to stand on.
maybe not. Are there any damages or anything?
We haven't done the final walkthrough. They're in the process of moving out.
Okay, well, see about that and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then the flip side of that though is that, you know, and I'm going to be a good, fair person. I'm not trying to get over, but I mean, the thing is, if the lease is null and void, then wouldn't they need to get the deposit back from the last owner? You know, if you wanted to get technical about it,
What happened to closing?
they gave it to us. Like we
Yeah,
got,
then-
a credit. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be like cheat or a liar. I'm just curious on the technical.
Well, they might have the right to sue the previous owner for it, but then the previous owner could sue you
Yeah.
if that went to you during closing. So, I mean,
Okay.
I'm always in favor of a good lawsuit, but that sounds like, not.
No, I'm not. I will give this back to them. I'm all about little bits of money to make problems go away work for me, but it was
Yeah.
my oversight. The sentence about it was after like 4 or 5 sentences of we have to give you notice to walk through, we are, you know, all these like, and I just did not read close enough. So it's totally on me at the end of the day, in my opinion, but I appreciate you letting me ask about it.
Yeah,
Now, if that sentence wasn't in there about the lease being null and void, then that lease transfers to the new parties, right? As long as we're all honoring it.
yes,
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, guys, I'm getting ready to email Fabian his tickets. And everybody have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Kathie.
Okay.
Thank you, Kathie. Never been to a baseball game, so.
Oh my God.
Well, not
Perfect
here,
time.
not here. Let me rephrase that. I just moved here probably about 10 months ago, so haven't been to a baseball game here locally. So this is the first. So thank you, Kat.
Shall I say just, shall I tell them, guys, like you might want to wear red?
That's true. If he hasn't been to a game, yeah, you might want to take that advice.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Okay. See ya.
You're gonna love it. Thank you.
Perfect.
All right. I guess we get started with our networking. We'll have, I guess, Laura, do you want to, go over our disclaimer and then we'll get some announcements?
I will do that. Good morning and welcome, everyone. First, I'd like to do a bit of housekeeping. Feel free to unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak. Please be mindful of everyone else by muting yourself while others are speaking. You're welcome to put any contact information that you want to share into the chat. We meet here to share deals, look for deals and solutions we have in need with our real estate. We are not your financial advisors, attorney, or accountants. We do not endorse or recommend any specific solutions or contractors here. You're advised to do your own due diligence to your own satisfaction before you invest. The first Friday of each month is Ask the Attorney with Ms. Katharyn Davis. Our meetings are typically recorded, so only share what you want others to know.
Thank you, Laura. Lloyd, we got Lloyd up there. He's at Jim's house. Do you want to make any announcements?
Yeah, I'll make a few announcements. We got you here, and also for everybody else that didn't wasn't here earlier, let you know I'm at the Heisers. Jim and Pat Heiser are in and out. We have the Lumens, Kristen and Heath over here on the other side of the table. So got a lot of experience in real estate investing right here in the Heisers basement. Anyway, yeah, just want to remind everybody, this coming Monday, on May the 6th, is our monthly luncheon at the Applebee's right at Olive and 270. I think it's you'll find the address. I don't have it right here. Was it 11950, something like that? Olive, right? It's in the Applebee's right there at Olive on the southeast corner of Olive and 270. Yeah, you can't miss it. Anyway, we're there from 11 to at least 1, sometimes maybe even longer. So glad to, hopefully you can, if you haven't been there already, let us, hope to see you here next Monday. And then on the 21st of May, John's got a great program lined out with Jason Schroer, is a occupancy inspector with the St. Louis County. He does all the does inspections for a lot of the in the unincorporated St. Louis County areas that they do their occupancy inspection. So he's going to be a great source. It's not like we had to twist his arm. A lot of times when tried to get in inspectors in the past, and they're afraid of going in front of a group of landlords because there's usually can be an adversarial relationship. He came to us this time, and he thinks it'll be beneficial. And this is great. We love hearing the viewpoint of somebody that we don't want to have adversarial relationships with inspectors, and he's going to help us avoid those situations by being more informed in advance. And he welcomes the crowd. So bring your questions about inspections, and hopefully he'll smooth over everything and greatly improve the relationship between landlords and occupancy inspectors. So looking forward to that meeting. So no, that's all I've got. So I'll let you, since we're too many people here, I'm gonna let you take on the rest of the networking, John. I'll mute myself so we're not interrupting anything, but yeah, if you got something for us, like I said, we got Heath and Kristen here, and the Heisers are available too. Oh, and congratulations to Fabian. Showed, hey, your membership in St. Louis Real is already paying off.
Those are great seats too, in the Redbird Club.
Yes.
Kathy, she's got the season ticket, so we appreciate her sharing those with us. She's done
No,
that before.
absolutely. And I think I'll enjoy myself, and I'll take some photos and maybe present it next week. How about that?
That'd be great, Fabian. Yeah, we appreciate that. And you still got to show us how you got that TV on your screen too. That's a pretty cool little thing for Zoom there too.
My wife hates it, but thank you.
I like it. I think it's great. I can relate to how to change that one. We got some new TVs out here at our place, and I can't even do anything with them. So, all right. Does anybody got anything they'd like to start off with today? Anybody got anything you want to buy or sell, or anything they're working on? Had a good start to the meeting, and Kathie brought up some good stuff. If you are interested in tax sales and all that kind of stuff, yeah, look at the website, and I would recommend enrolling for that thing. It is in Gladstone, but there are a lot of good speakers out there too. And that's something I wish they had space for us, but the room was filled up because Laura and I were going to go.
We were so excited
right away.
We were so excited planning our trip. And no, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, then we got to notice they're full. So it's like, well, I guess we'll just watch them online, but it's still good though. And we appreciate Kathie. She's really involved with all the stuff around town and with everything going on. And we appreciate her, coming in and keeping us updated on everything. A lot of things with the Housing Coalition she just talked about. And we were members of that also. And we have made a big difference this year. I don't know if you remember Maureen coming out last year and talking to our group, her and Charlie, and they've done a great job heading that up. And they do now. The aldermen are actually coming to us as a group with some help with some of their projects. And because we've given back so much and done things both ways, in fact, most of us don't realize what we've been saved from this year, just with the management companies having to be within the city limits. Now we have a 100-mile radius. I mean, there's just a lot of things because we've had open conversation with the aldermen, and they've actually come out to our group at the St. Louis area real estate board room out there. And I mean, we've had a lot of good conversations with them. There's been some friction points, but that's just part of the nature because they don't understand what we don't understand, and we don't understand a lot of times what they don't understand. We've kind of come together in a lot of the things, and some of these bills. In fact, if you'd like to have any of that kind of stuff just to see, I'd be happy to share them with you. You can send me a note, but there's been some things that some bullets we've avoided, I guess is a good way to put it. So I don't know how many of us have rental properties still around St. Louis. And what happens is that branches out to St. Louis County too, because it's just a matter of time that they kind of adopt the stuff, which kind of goes with Kansas City. And now we're in the process as a coalition is talking to Philadelphia, because they've done some groundbreaking things. And that's something we're looking at for this year. The other thing is the coalition ends at the end of this year. And they're looking at trying to get funding to continue it, because otherwise we're just at the mercy of whatever they decide to do. And I know, it takes a lot of money, but the funding runs out in December. So one of the things we are personally looking at doing is trying to maybe help them with some things they need help with. They've got a building that that's been condemned. It's a big, large building, but they need help with maybe housing some of the residents there. But a lot of these residents don't have the extra money for for security deposits and moving in general. So that's one of the things that Laura and I were kind of looking at too. Is there a way we can help them do this? Maybe transition, because they're good. So, some of these people are long-term. They can, they pay well. There's different ways. We'd have to get into more details, but they don't really have a lot of money up front. So maybe, like if we had some housing, maybe they would help, we could help them maybe make some transition. So that's just a couple of the things we're looking at. So, anyway, if you'd like to know more about that stuff, in fact, I'd be happy to share the slides. She just did a year-end review on Monday, and I'd be happy to share them with you if you'd like. Just send me a note, and I'll go ahead and put my email address in there. So anybody that would like them, just send me a note requesting that.
Yeah, John, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, I got a copy of Maureen's report too. I was very impressed with I didn't realize all of the things you had accomplished being part of that you know, you and Laura go to. Yeah, sounds like it really had an impact on the housing situation in St. Louis, having the older persons hear both sides of the story rather than just listening to the complaints of their constituents. I did also forgot to mention one other announcement I want to make. It's in the news. Kristen put it in the newsletter, but I meant to talk about it here today too. Was that the St. Louis Metro Housing Collective has a landlord event coming up on May 22nd. It's from 9 to noon. They're putting on, they're having a light breakfast and a lunch, both. And there's no charge for it. It's at the St. Patrick's Center, 800 North Tucker. You do need to register, I think, though, so I know how much food to have available. And it's in our newsletter. So if you got a newsletter, or I don't think I've put this on our website yet. I will get it on our website here. Send it over to our webmaster too. We mentioned it last Friday, and I want to bring that up again. So again, that's on May the 22nd. And check your newsletter. Yeah, you should be getting your newsletter. Laura got that into the mail here. What, yesterday, Laura, was it? Or it went to our printer.
Yeah.
So it'll be coming out. You'll be seeing it early next week. So you should have plenty of time to get registered for that event on May 22nd.
And we're also going to be having pizza at our next meeting as well. So
yeah, thanks for mentioning that too. Forgot that too. Yeah, we're gonna have. We just voted at our last board meeting to start having some a little more than our light refreshments and snacks. We're gonna have pizza or some other venue. So we're gonna keep you well fed at our third Tuesday events. Thank you for mentioning it, Laura. Okay, John, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, well, would anybody like to share anything today? Anybody have anything that they're working on, anything for sale? Anybody looking for anything? I guess I am actually looking for somebody that could do some yard work in Park Hills, which is close to Farmington, if anybody knows anybody that does that type of work. So I'll just throw that out there.
I just got a quick question.
Sure, Eric.
Shortly here, I'm getting ready to try to do this Transparency Act. Is there a website or a link I could go to or somebody so I could talk to and get this done?
Yeah, we've got the link where you can enroll. Let me see if I can find that. I'll put that in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, David wants thin crust. We'll see about that. We'll see what we can do. I'm not in charge of that, but I like thin crust myself. So maybe we can put a request in for that. Anybody got anything for sale today? Or are we just waiting to go to the baseball game tomorrow, Fabian? We'll have to, maybe you could make a spectacular catch and we'll be looking for you on TV.
That would be awesome. We'll see.
We'll see if we can find you. That'd be great.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
he'll be the one wearing red.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, I found that link, Eric. Let me see here. There it is right there. I just put it in the chat. That's where you can go enroll for your CTA. Corporate Transparency Act. My understanding is you need to do that for each corporation or LLC that you have. So.
Okay, thank you, John.
Certainly.
Hey, I got something.
Sure.
An article just came out from Adam Data Services, and I always find it to be interesting sometimes with this statistic that comes out. And I'm just kind of reading it off here. It's in my inbox. I'll read it later today. But they declare that May is the best month to sell your house. Okay. May sees an average seller premium of 13.1% above market value. And for all of us rehabbers on here, okay, the best day to sell a home is going to be May 27th. Okay, the average seller premium is 16.2%. So anybody on here with a house, make sure you get it on the market on May 27th. Okay.
That's Memorial Day. Also.
Is it? Oh my
Yes.
gosh, that's ridiculous.
I'm gonna be at the pool. I'm not gonna be buying houses.
Exactly. Holy cow. How do you get a premium for that? I guess because no agents will schedule an appointment to show a home. So if your agent is actually going to schedule an appointment, you're the only home they can go see. Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Where'd that come from, David? Where did you say you got that?
At ATTOM, Atom Data Services. It's a news organization I kind of follow on short sales and the home market and things like that. On there, they gather lots of national data and statistics, and then they have to write a report about it so that you buy their services, I guess.
Thank you. All right. Anybody got anything that they're working on or they want to sell? So are you waiting until May 27th? Is that what we're doing? I know it is a good time to get out. A lot of people are starting to move around and get things going. Tax season's kind of over for most of you guys, not all of us. Tax season's an ongoing thing for a lot of us. And there's the link. Thank you, David.
I'll speak up.
Sure, Laura.
Hey, everyone. Well, I might be speaking to a crowd that doesn't have anything to sell, but I'm interested in talking to anybody who owns a property that they don't want to own. I say it vaguely like that because I would look at it to be the buyer myself or to get you connected to another great buyer or maybe another great real estate professional that can help you with whatever situation you've got going on. My name's Laura Lennington. I live on the Illinois side and I own most of my property on the Missouri side, but I do business on both sides of the river. I am a licensed agent on both sides of the river, and I say that to legally disclose it, not because I'm some listing agent. That's not really my forte, but I do know who the good ones are, and I would love to refer you to a good one if that's what you're looking for, depending on what area you're in. So in any case, just feel free to reach out to me for any reason. I'll put my contact information in the chat. I'll also say my phone number out loud and my email address for the recording. So my name's Laura Lennington. My phone number is 719-648-8365. My email address is Laura, Laura, .c as in cat, .Lennington, LENINGTON @gmail.com. I've helped tons of members in this group, some of them on more than one property. So if you've got something, I'd love to see what I can do for you or what advice I can give or what direction I could point you in. And I mean, look, I'm really looking for property myself. That commercial deal, we have it under contract to sell. So my door count will be going down, but it'll be a good deal at the end of the day. And I'm always looking to add. So please reach out to me and I'd love to talk. Last thing before I forget, Lloyd. For that window egress guy, I'm curious if he does Missouri, and I also saw he's on vacation right now, so I didn't know if you got a hold of him.
Yes, I did get a hold of him. In fact, I got a bid from him, so appreciate that offer. Yeah, he said he's He's trying to expand his business. He's apparently early on, he was just doing the Illinois side, but he said he's been doing some advertising on the radio now, and so he's expanding over to St. Louis. So yeah, I got a bid from him. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, no
Give me that
problem.
reference.
Yeah, thanks. Anybody reach out anytime. Appreciate you
And I
guys.
caught him before he went on vacation too.
Yeah, good.
He did
Okay,
mention he
good
was
deal.
leaving on vacation.
I
when
was like, man, if the whole week's gone by and no return call from Lloyd, I want him to know he's like, I think he's in
No.
Ireland.
I
So
caught him before he left. Thank you.
okay, you're welcome. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Laura. Anybody else got anything they'd like to share with us today? Are we all just waiting to hear about the baseball game tomorrow?
Hey, John, I can share,
Yeah.
just as a landlord, it really does work in your benefit to have reserves. So I have one of my properties is going through an eviction. I think she's going on 3 months behind. So we should get her out this month, which is good. One of my tenants moved. I had mentioned earlier, beginning of this year, that it was basically when it's cold outside, people don't want to move. So had a mortgage on both of those properties, and then I have one in Kansas City he's just going through a tough time. He has an organization who's going to pay his rent. But those are 3 properties that I had to maintain the payment myself for 2, maybe 3 months. Not a problem by any means, but it just, as a landlord, just putting a plug out there, make sure you can cover your properties in the event that your tenants do not pay. I'm just the way that I operate in life. I always have savings, so I don't spend as the money comes in. But I could have been in a tough situation if I had not had my reserves. So just make sure you have some reserves, just in case things come up. My new tenant who has actually moved in last week, I extended, thanks Laura for that. I think we talked about it during this call. Her lease goes 14 months, so she won't be moving till June, potentially June of next year. And that's when her lease will come back up. But again, it'll be warmer, people will be able to move, so I won't have to run into that situation again. And then that's all I wanted to mention. Just as a landlord, make sure you have reserves, because you never want to be in a tough position to make sure you can make a mortgage payment.
Great point, Amber. Thank you so much for bringing that up. A lot of us miss that kind of stuff. I know when we look at properties, and I see this a lot with a lot of people out there, they look at like cap rates and things like that. And even if you're getting, 7 or 10% cap rate, all it takes is a bad tenant not paying for 3 or 4 months. They damage your house. I've had air conditioners stolen and all kinds of stuff. You can forget all them cap rates, all that kind of stuff. If you don't have reserves, like you just said, to weather you through the storm, it could be the end of your business. So that's a great point. I'm really glad you brought that up. Anybody else have anything they want to share on that particular point? Everybody's got too much money in the bank?
Yeah, I'll add to that comment, John. Yeah, you've had air conditioners. I've had furnaces and refrigerators disappear too. Along with losing the tenant that apparently probably took them, but according to the police, it was purely circumstantial.
Circumstantial, yeah. We had a chain link fence that left one time too.
Hey,
We actually bought a house that the lady was on. It wasn't Section 8 because it was down in Deloge, but it was Eastern Missouri. She'd been there 16 years when we bought the house. She was a great tenant for another 4 years. Then her brother got out of prison, moved in with her. He apparently started selling drugs. They got their electric shut off. They had I don't know what kind of deal they worked out, but they had cords running to the neighbors. Then we had to get them evicted. That took about 6 months. When they moved, they took the refrigerator, like you said, everything they could possibly take, including the chain link fence, which was a first for me. So And without reserves, because we still had a mortgage on the property, without reserves, you know, you can't weather that storm. Then you have to go back in there and redo everything and fix it up again. And then you know, it was another 2.5 months or so before we could even get anybody else in there.
Yep.
We had to do floors and everything. I mean, it was a mess.
Ooh.
So,
Ooh, I thought I had it bad. Yeah.
well, you just never know. I mean,
It's all,
you can't plan for a lot of that, but
no,
reserves, like Alan said,
no, you can plan for it. Just plan for the worst and hopefully, you know, you get the best.
well, they tell you 2 or 3 months. I'd say keep about 8 months worth of reserves per property would be a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, that is, it can happen.
So hopefully nobody will go through that. And if you listen to Kathy Davis every month, you probably can avoid a lot of that.
Yep.
Because just hearing what other people have gone through, I mean, that makes all the difference. All right. Anybody else got anything you want to share with us? There's some good deep conversations today.
Hey, John.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, I'll put my 2 cents forth in. My name is Jay Roman. I am a private money broker. I look for loans for people on fix and flips, fix and keeps, and refis and reboots. I also do commercial, and I'm roaming the meetup groups looking for new clients. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Would you like to share your info with us, please, Jay?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
And can you also mention it verbally for anybody watching the replay if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah.
Thanks.
My phone number is 314-513-1982. My email address is jay@rohman nationwidehouses.com. And that's what I got.
Thank you. Amber, you got your hand raised there? Would you like to?
Oh, yeah, I had another comment question. In the past couple of months, the concept of I'm not sure how to word it, but like in Africa, the people who rent actually pay their rent like a year in advance. I was curious if anyone has tenants that they do that sort of rental agreement with. Or is that just not a practice that we do in the States?
We have people that pay us. Now, we don't do any rentals anymore, but we have our owner financing. We have people that pay several months or a year in advance. I have a few of those. The rental, probably not so much. I don't know. You could do that. One of the things, the cautions I've seen though in the past is when you get people that want to do that up front and they try to avoid some of the screening process. And I've seen landlords that had empty properties and would rush to get people in there, but they don't always have good motives, like selling drugs or setting up meth labs and stuff like that. I've seen people do that, and then you can't get them out of there, but they paid you cash up front for a year to kind of get you out of their hair. So I'm not sure how it is in Africa, but that's I know you can do that here. It really just depends. I would say screen them though is the main thing, is just screen your people as always, but I always take money in advance. You want to pay me, I'll take it.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting concept that is the norm versus I think just the thought process of how we operate in the States of debt in rental collections and those sort of things versus you can't buy a house unless it's basically in cash. There is no month to month living over there. So just wondering.
Yeah, traditions are different from in different countries. I know I've heard in Germany that most rental houses or apartments don't come with light fixtures or any appliances either. You bring your own.
I can just speak on, I actually just did this for the first time. So like John, I had heard mixed reviews. I remember like hearing in the past before I was doing a lot of self-management that, you know, be weary of anyone offering 6 or 12 months. But I was filling an apartment and a guy was willing to offer 6 months. He wasn't asking to avoid any screening either, but the like kind of gap, you know, that he was trying to fill was he didn't have recent rental history because he was living in a house that he had inherited from his parents when he was taking care of his parents. So basically he didn't give me any major red flags. And he did have the money. And so like I wouldn't have like made what I felt like was a sketchy decision in order to get it. But you know, I don't know, he probably wouldn't have been as desirable with his lack of rental history without that 6 months. So I did take it. And the way I look at it is, you know, just because I took it doesn't mean I don't hold him to all the standards that, you know, like if he's loud or if there's illegal activity or whatever, you know, he's got to go. And whatever money I have to give him back, I'd give him back. But I did like that he had skin in the game where he was coming from a situation that it was harder for me to verify. So I would do it again if I was feeling the same relative level of confidence. But I wouldn't just do it just because.
Yeah, I had somewhat of a similar situation. Properties we have out in South Jersey. When we bought the property, one of the properties, they already had a tenant. She was there for like 4 years. We bought the property, and I think last year we raised the rent substantially, but we signed her to a 2-year contract, believe it or not, because she was there previously the last 5 years. So it was took the chance to sign her up for 2 additional years, and more than likely we're probably going to keep her under another 2-year contract. So I don't know how you guys do it. Do you guys just normally do 1 year, or have you guys done multiple years for your tenants that have been there from a long-term perspective?
I do a 2-year, but I make it. What I do is I say I don't want to do a 2-year because rates are going up and this locks it in, and so then they go, okay, well, can we just maybe build in that increase now? So basically, I get an increase built into the 2-year contract, so it kind of gyps them on the first year, but kind of does better for them on the second year in a way.
Thanks, David. That's what I thought. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I generally do it with my houses, do a 2-year lease. I haven't started building in a escalation like David says, probably should. But usually after the first, I do it for a reason that, you know, I've had larger houses. Most of mine are larger houses, and it takes a while to takes more money to clean them up and get them repainted and ready to re-rent. So I don't want to be doing that every year. But once they've been there for 2 years, I'll offer a 1-year extension after that, and that way I continue to escalate rents after the first 2 years.
Hey, can somebody tell Jim to put his calculator away there? He's supposed to be retired. What's he doing calculations? Yeah, I thought you retired, Jim.
Money I'm making in rental.
Oh, there you go. Okay, calculating all your earnings. Very good.
Everybody would be okay with that, right?
Yeah, that's good. Good thing. Good
Actually,
calculation.
I just got a text that I got air conditioning that's freezing up, and I don't think the thing's been in there. I had put in less than a year ago. So what does that tell you?
Warranty issue.
Yeah. That's the life of a landlord. That happens, but.
I gotta say, I'm sorry about that, Jim, but when I get on calls and I hear that, like literally in real time, this is happening to a successful investor, it makes me feel like I am not screwing everything up. It's like, because sometimes I'm just like dealing with stuff and I'm like, God, what is going on? But it sounds like it's par for the course sometimes.
You know, this morning we had a board meeting right before this meeting that John deals with. And then right when I was listening to Kathy Davis and you all, I get a call from one of the head inspectors of St. Louis County talking about a job, so I had to leave the meeting for that. At the same time, my son calls and he wants to know where I'm at on one of his properties I'm working on. It all hits at one time, Laura.
Yes, sir. I hear that. I hear that.
And
Yeah.
always remember, when you're sleeping, you're making money.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I haven't been doing this too long, but I've already seen fruits of my labor and non-labor. So I'm all in, but we just went under contract. We haven't had any water problems in this property the entire time we've owned it. And the day they went out to inspect, I'd given them my seller's disclosure, disclosed anything I knew about, which was next to nothing. The day I go in, there's standing water in the basement. It's just like, how is this possible? Our pump is out or something, our lift pump. Anyway, it's just so interesting. It's like we were there 3 days before, specifically made sure the basement still looked good. And it did. I'm like, golly, it does. Sometimes when it rains, it pours, literally and figuratively.
Well,
So,
let me give you a word of advice as a real old fart investor.
yes, sir.
Always buy your property in the spring when it rains, because you're gonna get a better deal with wet basements. But never sell in the spring. Wait for the dead of winter when it's
Gotcha.
dry.
That's good. That's good. I'll remember that. Thanks, Jim.
Some great points there. It looks like Ann Bollinger, are you there? You got something you put in there on prepaid rents. I guess it was on Pacific Heights. I'm guessing that's a show of some type. I'm not real familiar with it. But can you unmute and tell us about that, or do you have anything you can share with more on that? Maybe not. Might be in a place where you can't unmute. So I don't know if anybody else knows anything about that. But that is a good subject. Oh, Fabian, looks like you need some drywall. You want to say where and when and what you might need by any chance? You're going to be at the ball game. We know you're not going to be doing it.
Yeah, it's for a flip I have out in Creekor. Fortunately, I had some foundation issues with it, so I had to cut out sections of the drywall that I need to put back. And to your point, I don't have the time or availability to get it done. So I was looking for a drywall resource that might be available this weekend, because I need to put the property back on sale next week, unfortunately, because they just finished putting in helical anchors on the back wall, the whole back wall, because it had foundation issues and it was shifting. So that's kind of what the request is. It's kind of an expedited request also.
Okay. Would you like to share your contact information?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Any drywallers that work on weekends?
That's gonna be a tough one.
That's what I thought. No worries. I had someone looked at it earlier this morning, but I needed kind of another quote. But either way, I appreciate you guys' input.
Yeah, on a weekend.
Fabian, if you're a member of the Faster House,
I am.
I was gonna say, check on there for their vendors, their recommended vendors.
Yeah, I have their list too. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks, Laura.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share with us today? It looks like we're coming up. Oh, we're past the hour here. So a lot of good conversations today. We'll have the replay. I always say I'll have it up by midnight tonight, because that's my rule before I go to bed. It's usually sooner. It has been as late as 2 or 3 in the morning if I was traveling, but anyway, it should be on the website by Monday, depending on the webmaster. So anybody else have anything you'd like to share today? If not, we appreciate everybody tuning in. As usual, good meeting. Have fun at the ball game, Fabian. Look forward to hearing about that next week on your TV that you're going to show us there.
Thank you.
So if nobody else has anything, we'll say thank you for
Just
Yeah.
a tip for Fabian. You may want to take the Metro link. Some people don't like it, but parking sucks. So take the Metro.
Thank you. Appreciate the input.
All right. Well, it's good seeing everybody. Y'all take care and we'll see you next week.
Hey,
All right. Thanks.
bye all.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.